Okay, thank you once again. This is our final session for tonight, and now we have Paramjit Lota, the solution specialist for Visilean. He has a degree in architecture and a master's degree in construction management, and he's here with us tonight to present to us a construction management solution, and that is Visilean. So, thank you, Paramjit, for taking on this tech talk, and
Thank you,
I
Brian.
give the floor to you to
Right.
have your presentation.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm just going to bring up my screen. All right, you should be able to see my screen now. All right, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody from wherever you've joined us across the globe. We've had a whole lot of sessions, and those are some really interesting topics. That last Q&A especially was really wonderful. Thank you very much to all the presenters. So as part of this talk, this tech talk, I'm going to be talking about Visilean, but there is a build up to it in terms of digitalizing construction project management with lean collaborative workflows. So the idea is that I think most of the topics have already been covered, especially by Hargeet, Dr. Bhargav. And so it's going to seem pretty much like a repeat, but I think it's going to be more of a conclusion to all the topics that you've had, or it's going to turn into a lean masterclass for everybody joining us today. Okay. So in terms of what I'm going to be covering in the session, we're going to be looking at a review of status quo. And this whole idea of digitalization and the digital buzz that everybody's talking about. What are the challenges to AECO project delivery? So architecture, engineering, construction, and operations, the entire sort of life cycle. Then we're going to come on to lean production management, something that's already been touched upon, but this is all going to build up towards how we cover Visilean in the later half. Of course, aligning technology with lean, and then digitalizing construction project management with Visilean. So this is basically just to set the tone of what projects in most cases probably look like. If this is one of what your project also looks like, I'm sure you can relate. If not, I'd love to sort of hear more about your project. So there are two people here. One is basically mentioning that there's no clearance for the job on site. So, how did we put this in our production plan? And the other person's actually mentioning that they don't have the latest drawings available. So the conditions are not matching the site. So basically, it's reflecting a clear divide between what we've planned for or what we're expecting from our site or our site teams and what they're able to deliver. So in terms of status quo of the industry right now, there's still there's this whole manual nature of workflows of basically everything that's done. You still have a lot of manual note taking. You have a lot of Excel work, extensive sort of data documentation, manually. Of course, the job at the end of the day is manually done, but the process doesn't have to be that way necessarily. Sadly enough, there's a very ad hoc approach to everything. So despite having, some digital solutions, some actual solutions that can help you, there's still a very ad hoc approach to everything that goes on with these projects. A lot of this stems from limited collaboration because there's this whole idea of working in silos. And right now, anyway, we're sort of limited by physical proximity, but there's anyway been such a prevalent condition of not collaborating even when we were physically together. So in terms of the digital buzz, there are a lot of notions surrounding the industry about digitalization. So you constantly hear about things like digitalization is not for me. It's assumed to be like somebody actually mentioned in one of the questions that, what about drones and sort of, can you get progress from drones and can you get progress from like photographs? So there's a notion that digitalization is all very fancy and we can't even do the basics, so forget about, going there. Just like that, it's too fancy for us. So, it's too expensive. It's too much. I don't want robots, roaming around my construction site. And also, what's the ROI? So what is the return? What returns am I expecting finally? There's a lot of investment that goes into it. So is it even worth it? And these are the questions that you sort of come across on a daily basis nowadays. So in terms of challenges that we're facing from, say, design to execution, you're looking at conceptualization, where I think sort of Hargit clearly mentioned that you need to understand the value that the client requires. So there's no clarity on client requirement. That's where you've basically lost the value at the initial phase itself. When you're doing design development, you have this approach of silo-based design development, where you have the architect, structural designers, specialized vendors, and MEP, sort of everybody working in silos. And so you're not collaborating and talking to each other. That obviously is going to cause issues down the line during execution. Hence, we come down to the whole idea of divide between design and execution, because you're not speaking to each other. You're not talking about whether we're going to be able to build this. And so when we hit execution, when we hit site, and we're looking at that image earlier, there's no clarity on basically what's happening or on basically what's going on your site. Finally, in operations, you basically have inaccurate as-built of your facility, and then maintenance in terms of especially bigger projects becomes extremely tedious. So again, the whole idea of sort of waste that was mentioned really comes through, and value. So prevalent waste and lack of value generation in projects across each phase. So what does conventional project management look like? So the focus is on reactive controlling of costs and schedule. You'll hear this constantly, these two ideas of basically having a schedule and then managing our costs. So then where's my plan, right? So you always have this program, MSP, P6, contractually sort of created. Finally, by the time it comes to site, it looks like an Excel program. And these are always pasted across your project, site offices. So you hit a site office and you'll see this program put up on a pin-up board, nicely sort of either highlighted with some colors and whatnot, but you will always see that the dates never match what's going on site. And that's true across probably 99% projects. This whole idea of basically creating a master plan, a top-down plan, and pushing it down to site, trying to track your costs and basically keep trying to get progress updates and keep pushing out your RA bills or monthly bills, and for the client to just keep a track of the budget. End of the day, this is all what's going on with your projects. And at the core where your execution and sort of your entire sort of what Dr. Bhargav mentioned about production management lies, it's all missed out. And so you're just now running in circles, battling all your issues and delays with balancing your cost and schedule. So this brings me to lean production management. So we've already had a mention about this from most of the speakers, but what you're looking at in this image compared to what we saw last is basically that now you're talking about communication. So there's the person mentioning how Porto reinforcement is completed and concreting is in progress, and the other person saying, thanks, Sean, we'll be ready with PO 3 in the next 1 hour for you. That little amount of communication might seem small, but when amplified across your projects, this is what actually ends up giving you the results you expect or you desire. So this is, again, something that was mentioned earlier, but this is basically a very clear, crystal way of understanding lean and a revision for people who've already attended most of the sessions. It's a way to design production systems to minimize waste of material, time, and effort. Material, time, and effort, and this includes everything from literally physical stuff to your team's efforts and your team's input and your team's participation, and all of this to generate maximum possible value. So even if you can save 1 hour in terms of your planner's day, instead of filling up Excel sheets to actually do something more productive related to planning, that's a lot of waste you've saved across a 2-year project duration. That's something that generates value, and that's basically what value talks about in terms of lean. So in terms of a lean perspective, it's critical to understand these aspects. You're talking about 3 main parts. One is visual management. Now, lean talks about the fact that there are always varied teams. I think we had a discussion earlier where we were mentioning how a lot of construction projects in the UAE involve practically people from all across the globe. In such cases and across most of our project, communication becomes really, really difficult. And so when you can talk through visuals, it becomes a lot more easier. So visual management becomes critical in terms of lean and enabling your communication and collaboration. That brings us to collaboration. So you provide a platform where teams can actually get together. So it's not just the fact that you tell people to talk to each other, but you have to create a scenario, you create an environment which can enable collaboration and communication. And so when you inculcate this sort of a behavior, this sort of a culture, you bring in a lean lens into your entire process of delivery. So your teams are constantly looking at identifying value-adding opportunities and removing non-value-adding wasteful time. The entire focus of a lean project delivery system is on the production management, on the entire system and the process that goes through it, not in terms of transactions and contracts. like it was mentioned earlier. Sorry. TFE goal, which is basically transformation flow value, that's something that Dr. Bhargav already covered. The transformation only is not the goal in case of lean. Involvement of downstream, so you're involving your teams from site to actually participate and give feedback. So hence your product and process design works in are both work in sync. So this is something Dr. Bhargav very clearly mentioned, where they both actually your lean processes and your product in terms of, let's say, BIM, communicate with each other for better sort of construction project management. You're holding back things to the last responsible moment instead of trying to make sure that you can just push and keep getting things done on site without thinking of the larger picture of what's going to happen. The whole idea is stakeholder interests are aligned. So you're working as a team together, and that really makes all the difference. So when you're talking about production planning, there are a couple of ways of doing this. And so for ensuring higher efficiency and safety protocols as well, there's this whole idea of sort of sticky note planning, the last planner system that you're probably aware of. Because you're not physically sort of in proximity right now because of COVID, there are ways to digitally sort of do it. This is what we do with Visilean. A lot of clients are doing this across the globe, where they're using the program to actually do full planning sessions right now, sitting probably across the globe anywhere. All of this is done on one single platform, and that's basically what makes all the difference. You want to collect that information all in one place so that that's there to actually utilize instead of just piling up reports and just pushing emails across. I've actually personally sat through client meetings where people are going through emails constantly to find data, and that's never helpful. So your half-an-hour meeting just goes for a complete toss. Location-based planning becomes so important because you can actually plan and monitor your workforce and work across various locations. You can't have painting and plaster happening at the same location. And it might seem like common sense, but a lot of cases, a lot of people are not aware that the same job is happening at the same place. So in terms of production control, you need to track your progress and report across your teams in one single integrated platform once again. So your stakeholders, everybody needs to be a part of the same picture. And you need to stop creating these sort of Photoshop pictures that we send out as so-called reports or emails where we're sugarcoating or sort of hiding things that we don't want to mention or painting a picture which is not true. Because end of the day, your project is still going to run into delays and you're going to still run into budget overruns. It's better if we sort of not hide the truth and sort of actually sit together to come up with solutions rather than, put sort of sliding everything under the rug. A lot of the times we're chasing people for updates. And so if there's updates coming through automatically or just sort of at the right time, it can help people sort of come up with solutions and help each other rather than just sort of hiding to, not basically deal with the issue itself. For this, you require information at all times. And so teams could be distant, but you could still get updates across the globe sitting anywhere. And that basically makes a lot of difference. So in terms of aligning technology with lean processes, where should you begin? And that's a really big question. So it's important to understand, and this is again something, it's probably like a conclusion to what you've heard before already, but it's really important to understand what is appropriate for you. There's immense scope for digitalization. You could start with something as small as, sort of, it was mentioned earlier that even Outlook has a lot of potential compared to just sending emails. So there is immense scope. You can start with something small. You don't have to jump to drones directly, but you need to start somewhere, and it's what is important. It's essential to bring your team together when you're doing that. So the cultural change going hand in hand with technology adoption is going to make a difference. So it's critical to address your team and your issues. And so people, process, and technology, anybody who's sort of studied the research on Lean and BIM and studied sort of papers by Professor Rafael Sachs, Laurie Koskela, Dr. Bhargav, this becomes sort of fundamental to whatever we try to do in Visilean itself. It's always people, process, and technology. You can have the best solution in the market. You can have the best sort of scheduling software like P6 or so was mentioned in the Q&A. But till the time your people, process, and technology are not aligned, you're basically not going to get the results that you desire. This is something we're constantly working on as a team in Visilean as well. So your implementation is based on you need to have changes in behavior, gradual changes in behavior, and you need digital leadership for that. You need to overcome the resistance by actually helping them participate and taking them along rather than pushing it. So there has to be this balance of push and pull in your processes. And you progressively apply more. So you grow as a team and you grow together. And that's when you start to transition towards a lean production delivery system. So in terms of Visilean, we are one such digitalizing, digital construction management platform, integrating Lean and BIM, probably one of the only ones integrating Lean and BIM the way we do. We're a single integrated platform for all your stakeholders. We are a very visual platform, so it's a visual ecosystem where people can understand and communicate a lot better. We provide Lean tools such as pull planning, digital last planner systems to enable pull planning and collaborative planning sessions to happen. We're designed for value, so you get the exact information you need to focus on, and that's basically what comes through from Visilean in the dashboard. And then you can actually focus on minimizing waste because you're getting live filtered data. You're not getting unnecessary information. You're getting the exact information you require, and you're getting it live from your teams. Some of our projects right now, this is just to give you an overview of where all we're working, but sort of Dr. Bhargav covered this case study on Mace, which is the data center, but we're working with multiple projects with Alec in the UAE. Some of them are extremely special large-scale projects. Working with projects in Norway. We've got a couple of projects. We've got a few projects in India as well, with a whole variety, dealing from contractors to BIM-based PMC. We're working in the States as well now with BN Builders, and we've also rolled out with Scottish Water. These are some of the examples, but the idea is that our Lean and BIM experts from all three of our locations, which is Finland, UK, and India, are constantly involved with basically dealing with these clients and helping them through the onboarding and the entire support. That's where we're sort of offering unparalleled customer service when it comes to our team. So in principle, we've got four sort of core verticals of Visilean. One is collaboration, where we enable basically collaboration through a digital last planner system. You've got mobility, so you've got the power of actually your teams go to site and actually give you updates directly from the mobile application. And the entire focus is on giving you live, accurate updates. You can visualize all of this progress in a live 4D. So this is not a 4D simulation that plays like a video giving you a picture of what 2 years down the line will look like on your project. This is the real-time picture of what's happening with your project right now. And that's where we integrate BIM and Lean. And you have a performance dashboard that gives you accurate updates on what's happening with your project for continuous improvement, another critical aspect of Lean. We're not just involved with a lot of projects, but we're heavily a part of, we've been selected for various accelerator programs. And very recently, we were working with COVI as part of the Urban Tech program. And that was a wonderful experience for 6 months, working with one of the biggest design hubs in the world and understanding how Lean and BIM actually work integrated in terms of design workflows as well. The benefits, these are actually documented from a lot of our dealing with a lot of our clients, and it's just better collaboration and communication at its core. Just because you have all that information in real time at hand at all times, you're clear about the work you need to do. Your handovers are a lot smoother. And at the management level, you're getting all that information to actually focus on what you need to, which is to improve your processes and to improve your execution, design and execution of projects. So it works hand in hand in terms of both your site as well as your HO. When we say our fundamentals are in lean construction, and obviously there are a lot of lean features that the system hosts. You have complete flexibility in terms of planning. You've got a dedicated make-ready process. So Hargeet mentioned while answering my question itself, that you don't hit the job site before you make the process. You make your job ready. So there's a dedicated make-ready process. We work with commitments. So you're doing this pull planning where you're taking commitments from the teams from site. And so you're getting accurate sort of commitments to track against what you're going to perform in terms of your PPC. And your handovers are smooth because that information is coming to you live at all times. I'm going to run you through basically what our system does and what it looks like. So this is one of the aspects, is basically the Gantt. So here you can import your program from P6, MSP, Asta, or even Excel. And you can even combine programs from various different platforms in one single place. So this allows you the flexibility to combine both your top-down, which is your contractual plan or your master level plan, with a bottom-up subcontractor Excel level 5 schedule in one single place for your teams to collaborate on. So the whole idea of becoming one single platform starts to show here. So very typically, this is a Gantt view, again, very visual. You can see the colors start to speak to you. You can do a baseline versus plan versus actual comparison in one go. just at the click of a button. And this is something that most planners and most of you as project managers would be familiar with. But where things really start to change is when we bring in our bottom-up planning, which is the scheduler view. So this is where we host collaborative planning. So you're looking at teams, your teams to the left. You're looking at a look-ahead program, which is basically taken from your imported Gantt schedule. So here the system's converting all your activities, all your tasks into digital sticky notes, and you can just drag and drop them to the respective team members or the respective location. So this is where you're getting the live status of what's happening with your project, and you're collaborating over your look aheads to make sure that your production is clear of any sort of issues. This is also where you raise constraints. So you sit with your team, discuss out constraints, just like that. Just drag and drop the task to your teams, and you can do this live. You could be sharing your screen, sitting here, say for example in India, and be talking to everybody in the States or in UK, and doing this live with your team. You can even create tasks on the fly. So if you missed out on something and somebody needs to take responsibility for it, you can do it right here. Both these approaches combined basically give the power for your team to go back to site and give updates directly from the app. Once that is done, this is a completely automated dashboard. So all of the data that's coming through is completely automated here. You don't have to do any sort of manual data filling. Nobody's time is getting utilized in creating reports. All your team needs to do, all your management needs to do is go visualize basically what's your delayed task like, what are your stop tasks like, who's sitting with that activity and what's the issue, and basically review it for its current status. And so you're not constantly trying to generate reports and basically, combine things and sort of just to send out that information. All that information is with you at all times. It's just a matter of accessing this. It's completely cloud-based, so you access it from anywhere where you have a browser. We have a dedicated BIM viewer, and this supports native BIM, practically all your native BIM platforms. And this is where we integrate the Lean and BIM. So your bottom-up planning or your scheduler basically links with your BIM model. So your entire production links with your BIM model, and then you can visualize the same status that you're looking at of the activities which are happening on site directly on your BIM model. So any update that comes through, so for example, those columns are looking red, that's because they're linked to a stopped activity. And the moment that update comes through from site, which is from the mobile application, you get to visualize that here live. So you practically don't have to visit site, because that specific activity which is stopped will have its files, photographs attached to it. You can visualize where it is in the model. And so all of that information has come through to you just at the click of a button. The amount of time that saves our clients across the globe is just, it's immense. Finally, we have one of our, because our industry is so familiar with Excel, we have a very similar Excel looking format where this is basically a dynamic reporting format. So you can choose what information you want to show. You can filter out information at the click at sort of typing a few letters, and you can PDF this directly and send this out if need be. We know a lot of people still like to stick to reporting in some format or the other. And so the idea is for us to blend in with your current processes and help you improve rather than force something down. And so we're always working with our clients to make the process of transitioning as simple as possible. This table view helps enable that a lot. So finally, just to give you a brief of what all of this looks like. So you're creating tasks, so you're probably dealing with tasks, and you're assigning these to your teams on site. And this is basically what that would look like. Now, when you do that, you'd basically get a notification on your app directly. So this property panel opens up, and this property panel has all the information about the activity. And the moment you assign it to somebody, you basically get a notification on the app, which will let you work on this activity directly from anywhere you are. So this example will show you how the color changes, which is it goes from not assigned to not ready. And the person now on site has to make this activity ready. So they simply go on the app, they click on the activity. You can see that exclamation mark is also showing that it's delayed. They can check for material, equipment, labor, space, and design. And as and when you check that information is coming through live on the browser as well. So they both work hand in hand. If any of the boxes are not checked, you will get to know what is the reason why the person has not made the activity ready. Once the activity is ready to go, this is completely green, and the person would do this 2 days or 3 days before the task is actually supposed to start, so that you don't have any problems when you're actually supposed to start the activity. Now you can see that activity can now be started. It's going to ask you for a reason for why you're starting late every single time, and this is what makes for the reasons for variance during your PPC calculation. You can look at the activity now, it's turned purple, that means it's in progress. Any progress update coming through comes through live seamlessly on your browser. So 32% reflects directly there. Anything else that you want to notify in terms of raising an alert, stopping an activity, attaching files, photographs, or sharing notes happens directly here. And it's so visual because the moment you raise an alert, it becomes that ochre yellow, and you know there's a problem that this activity is going to have. The moment you raise a stoppage, your entire team gets to know that the activity is red, and there's definitely something that needs taken care over here. And I think that's my time. Thank you so much. That's it from my end. I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay. Thank you, Paramjit, for that. I think one of the things that they might ask, the stage is now open for a question and answer, but if I may ask Paramjit, is there a way for them to experience this tool that you just introduced?
Absolutely. We offer a dedicated 1-month free trial, a fully featured, no restrictions, free trial directly from our website. Anybody who wants to join can go actually start that directly today at Visilean.com. And we offer you dedicated training and support through the trial period as well. So that's going to be really helpful, and we make sure we see it through so that we address all your queries.
Okay, so Hargit is also here. We encourage our guests to just post your question in the Q&A or raise your hand, whichever works for you, so we can so that Paramjit can answer the questions.
Okay, I have some questions before we get questions from the attendees. So Paramjit, first of all, wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. It's you don't know how happy I am to see like the principles of Lean are finally getting into the application phase, because this is something that we have been suffering from decades now. But how would you say, how is the user experience with this tool? Well, as far as I can see, it's very user-friendly. But when it comes to the higher hierarchy of the project planning and project planners, how user-friendly is that for them?
That's a very interesting question. Fortunately, we're dealing with clients across the globe. And so there's always a difference between what sort of clients you're dealing with and what sort of planners you might come across and what sort of tools that they're used to. In general, we make sure that basically our principle is this, that the system should not give you any problem. And so we make sure that if there is something that needs a slight tweak or slight improvement or a change in a workflow, we basically make sure we can help you out with that. And that's how we've made it possible for everybody to feel comfortable till now. So in terms of the only resistance that we actually face is actually bringing in your entire team to on board to this. Especially in a lot of cases when you see, for example, you start a pilot today, you're going to pilot or try it out on one project. Now those teams or 5 teams part of that one project might be working on 5 other projects with you. But because this might not be used across all the projects, that double work always becomes a bit of, where you actually face the resistance. That's where we face the maximum challenge. In terms of the tool being user-friendly, that we are sitting there to make sure it doesn't.
Thank you. Yep. I have another question. How cost effective is Visilean? So definitely we'll have some implementation costs, but do you have some data from the users that it has helped them to save some of the costs?
I think in terms of, I think we've been very clear, even sort of wherever we've done any sort of publishing of results. One of the properly documented results is obviously the MACE case study that Sir showed you earlier, Dr. Bhargav showed you earlier, where because that was a case study published at IGLC itself from the client itself, which was MACE. So apart from that, we don't have numbers as such to to back up, that Visilean's made this is of a difference. But what we do have is basically continued clients who stuck around for example, Mace, who've stuck around with us for a really long time now, and a lot of others whom we're working with, who've seen benefits and who've seen very critical benefits in terms of just the way their the approach to dealing with production has changed, to dealing with execution has changed. And so that's been immensely helpful in those terms. So I think one of my favorite, I think to give you an example, one of my favorite one of our clients with Alec, basically, we were in Dubai last year. I was there, and sort of he'd keep repeating this, that a 5% benefit on this scale of a project will take care of at a company level, it's going to take care of a huge say for example our bonuses or stuff like that. That when they can explain that much, I think the idea becomes really clear. So
okay, so on the practical side, Paramjit, I think one of the things that can get people to use this software or to actually want to implement them is, first, that they get access to the trial version, and then second, if they want to learn this, is there a way, is there a place online that where they can really learn how to use this tool?
Yes, so there is a dedicated knowledge base, like an online sort of a portal, which will guide you through the entire system. Like I said, that's also directly accessible from once you log in. So once you create a free trial, you'll be able to access that, and you can go through the entire system on your own. But like I said, the moment somebody creates a free trial or starts a trial with us, we get in touch and we basically start with sort of the onboarding, the training. Just like you and I are talking right now, we would start the same interaction, because end of the day, it really needs that sort of understanding. There's a lot of ways in which you can do the same thing on Visilean. There's just a lot of ways of doing that same thing. So it really matters for us to understand. That's why we sit in on weekly calls with most of our clients to basically make sure that we can propose the best sort of workflow that'll fit for you. So yeah, we'll help you out with that.
We encourage the participants to ask. Feel free to ask your questions. I just have one more. So basically, this integrates 4D and 5D into one solution, so that they can have better visibility of the project as it interacts with the model and with the constraints of cost and time. So, is this a standalone tool, or does it if, for example, I have projects that I have already started in other tools, is there a way to migrate if I see the benefit and of Visilean, and I'm still in the planning stage? Can I migrate easily from one system to your system? Is there an interoperability or a compatibility support?
Yes. Okay, those are all very valid questions. Two parts. One, we are a lean BIM integrated solution. So we, of course, like you mentioned, to the 3D and 4D and sort of make your schedule work with your BIM model, but that's not a necessity. So a lot of our clients also do not involve the BIM aspect. They use it for the lean collaborative platform and sort of to merge their top down and bottom up. A lot of our clients are still using it for that without BIM. In terms of working with your existing platforms, the whole idea is, yes, we have excellent system interoperability with the likes of P6, MSP, Asta, and even Excel. So in terms of your schedules, you can import whatever you require and take that data back in a format that works. And in terms of BIM, like I mentioned, you can basically get most of your models in. And we also are integrated with Autodesk BIM 360. So if you're already using BIM 360, you don't have to import again. You just access your models directly from our system. So like I mentioned during the talk as well, that the idea is always to fit in as lightly as possible with your existing workflows. Pushing down anything never really helps. And so we always work with you and make sure that the transition is slow and done in sort of like baby steps, like Hargeet mentioned when it came to digitalization. And that's the idea.
Okay, and lastly, how is this priced? Is a pricing readily available on the website? Is it per project, custom price? Is it subscription, or is it can they own it perpetually? What's the pricing model so that they can acquire or they can get access to the full version of this?
Right. So there are two ways, three ways. There are a couple of ways. So basically, we don't have a pricing model available anywhere. That's because our fundamental is to enable collaboration, and for that we offer unlimited license when it comes to a project. So, for example, once you onboard a project with us, we will not restrict the number of people you need to add onto it. So it could be your subcontractors, your last planners on site, your top management, your client, and basically anybody you want to. So it's not limited to you only. So that being said, of course, the pricing is completely based on the project and the project scale. And like I mentioned, we're a global platform, so basically that's the reason it totally depends on what sort of a project you bring in. So I don't know if James is available on the call, or I mean on the session right now, but basically James is our sort of sales lead based out of UK, and he can address any sort of you can just get in touch with us and we'll help you. We'll sort out your sales requirements, pricing requirements.
Okay, so I think we're 3 minutes before before 9 o'clock, so we can actually wrap this up. Thank you very much, Paramjit.
Sorry, Brian, to interrupt you. We just got a question from the audience.
Sorry.
Yeah. Can you read it for me?
Oh, okay. Just came in. Does the software or the tool does it have a cost estimate or quantity surveying feature?
Okay, so in terms of cost estimating or quantity surveying, no, not specifically. You have the option of adding costs to all your activities. So if you have your schedule broken down into a level 4, level 5, level 6, you can add costs to all those activities, and then you can actually check for your plan versus actuals. And in terms of quantities as well, you can input them for all the activities, but there's no specific feature like that. It plugs into basically your production management.
Oh, okay. So that was that's the last question. Okay, so thank you very much, Paramjit.
Thanks, Brian.
We're very glad to have you also with us today to present your tool. I think that pretty much is a practical representation of what has been discussed since morning. And thank you very much. And so to all our participants, the summit is not yet over. We still have 2 Saturdays more. And next week we will be talking about the next normal in quality, safety, and sustainability. So we just like this week, we will start at 9 a.m. That's Central European time, and which is 4 p.m. Philippine Standard Time. So we will have a tech talk in the morning next week, and we will have all the 3 sessions again for the keynote speakers, and then an open forum, and we will culminate again with another tech talk. So thank you very much, and thank you, Hargit, for co-hosting today, aside from your speaking duties. So we'll see you all next week. Feel free to hang out on the tables, and please also help us know more about your experience in this summit by visiting the summit website, and from there you can give us your feedback, and this feedback together with the performance report of this platform will be the basis of awarding certificates. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having all of you join us in this summit. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Hargit.
Brian, before you end the session, I just want to add to all the attendees that the Tech Talk, Yes, thank you for muting. I was getting too much echo. Yeah, so we also have a booth for Paramjeet, for Visilean. And in case you have any questions, you can have a direct conversation with him. He will be live even next week. I hope you will be there, Paramjeet, next Saturday as well. And also there are contact details, and you can contact him personally and get to know about this software more if you would like. So thank you once again, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Thank you.